Right now we are going to create our front-end application part. That is basically the Flutter application. So right now I have open one simulator, which is iPhone 16 Plus. Now we are going to add some dependencies here. We need some dependencies to run the applications. For a network call we need DO. Okay, we are not going to use HTTP. DO is more flexible than HTTP, that's why I'm going to use a DO. You can use the HTTP also, there is no problem. Also we need shared preference to store the user data in shared preference, so that in our home page or any other place we can simply call the user, or we can simply get the user ID, name, etc. from the shared preference. We don't need to call every time. We don't need to create API or any kind of thing to get the user data. We can simply get it from the shared preference. Okay, we import it. Okay, now I just refine this code. Okay, just wait a minute, just wait a second. Okay, so yeah, that's my main function. Okay, now I just do one thing. First of all, whenever we log in, if you see, when we logged in, we get the user data, right? Okay, if you see, we get this response, right? So for this response we need to create one model first. Now just go to our Android code. Now here we are going to create the model first. Okay, we just create one directory here. Okay, now here we create one dart file which is the user model. Okay, now we need to create the user model first. Class user, and here it is one id is integer if I am not wrong. Okay, yes, final one is string, that is name, one is email. Okay, now generate the constructor here. Okay, I created a constructor here. Now I need one factory constructor, because we need to get this, sometimes we need to get the specific data only. For that purposes we are going to use the factory constructor, so that according to our need we can get the data from our model. Okay, dynamicization Now it will return the user. Okay, so it will return session ID. Oh, sorry, session and session email. Okay, perfect. Now also I need two session. This is from JSON. From this JSON structure we can get this data from the JSON structure. Also we need to pass the data, right? So we can pass the from data to our JSON, right? So for that also we need map string dynamic to JSON, where we are going to return basically ID, name, email. Okay, perfect. Now also I am getting this user in this is one response, right? This is one response, and this is one user object, this is one object, right? So this object is done. Okay, this is for the user objects. Now I need to get the response from these objects. Okay, so for that I need to create another class that is auth response. Okay, so here one is string, that is our message. Okay, and another one is our user model, correct? So auth response, I can do one thing, required this dot messages, one is required this dot user. Okay, second thing is I need from JSON also, right? Factory auth response from JSON map string dynamic JSON, and we are going to return auth response, where one is message, one is user. Okay, so here it is as JSON, and here user is user dot from JSON, here JSON and it is user. As you see, it is user. Okay, auth response is done and user is done. Our model creation is done. Okay, now we are going to do one thing. First of all, I need to set our main dot file. Okay, now here if user is already logged in, okay, if user is already logged in, then we are simply navigate user to the home screen. If user is not logged in, then we need to navigate user to the login screen. Okay, for that we need two things. First of all, we need to store this data in one services, where suppose on auth services, where we are going to use the shared preference to store this data. Okay, and also for API services, I need one API services to log it and register and all this API calling. Okay, and I need another services to store this data. Okay, first of all, do one thing. First let's create the logged in and registration. No, not logged in and registration. Just do one thing. First of all, just created our services first. Okay, just do one thing, services first. Okay, first just create our services. So our one file will be API services, and another file will be auth service, right? So first thing first, we need to create our API services. API services, basically here we are going to call our backend APIs. Okay, so class API service. Okay, here we need DO, create one private variable for the DO. Now we need final string our base URL. I need one base URL here. Okay, here we are going to use instance based approach. Okay, instance based approach means here we are going to create API services. It is like creating the constructor. Okay, okay, now just do one thing. Here we are going to configure. Here we are going to configure the DO part. Okay, we are going to configure the DO. Now void configure DO. Okay, here now first of all DO dot options dot base URL equal to base URL. Okay, now DO dot options dot connection timeout equal to const dot duration. Okay, I need one duration, suppose seconds. Here will be 30 seconds. We are going to wait for the 30 seconds. Then options dot receive timeout, and our receive timeout will be, this is also same as the connection timeout. Earlier, as I mentioned, DO has the flexibility, so these are the flexibilities that DO provides to us. Okay, and we had a headers, right? We can set the headers here also. Application session. Okay, header is set. Now add interceptor. We can also add the interceptor also if needed, because it is not mandatory that you need to add the interceptor, but it is best practice to add the interceptor also. Just do one thing, add the interceptor also. Do dot interceptors dot add interceptor wrapper. Here we are going to add the interceptor wrapper on request. There will be one options slash handlers. Okay, so here we can simply return the handler dot next. Here we are going to add the request, sorry, options, not request, the options. Okay, also you can call the on error here, on error the DO exceptions, also one handler. Okay, here we are going to return the handler dot next okay. This is the DO interceptors. Now I just do one thing. Here we configure the DO part. Now we are going to call the register user future. Also here, if in the registered user, if you see in registered user email, also we need name, right? Tom Holland. Okay, so here adding the email, password, name. Here also it is put in the register. If you send it, if you see here, we simply get the message as a response, right? We are not getting the whole array here. We are simply getting the response here, but in our login section we are getting the whole array. If you noticed, we are getting the whole response, but here you are getting the message only, right? So in the future section we need to get the array. As you see, we are getting the array only. Register user string, we are sending name, string we are sending email, and string we are sending password. Okay, that will be a sync function. Okay, it is basically expecting return something. Okay, so now just try, and here we are going to get the response here, and this will be the await your dot. It is the post method, if you know already, and here we need to add the endpoint. Okay, our endpoint is the users api.users.register, right? For register, this is our endpoint. And data, in the data section we are going to give the name, we are going to give the email, right? And we are going to send the password. Okay, so yeah, data is complete. Okay, so yeah, response is done. Okay, so yeah, response is done. Now we need to return it. Return response data, and we are getting the message only, right? If you see, we are getting the message only. If you are not getting any kind of message, then simply registration successful. Okay, on due exception gets throw to handle errors. Okay, for that also I need one handle errors. Okay, later on we are going to create it anyway. So this is the registration, and this same copy it, and it will be the login user, but this time you are going to get the auth response, because you already get the user model, if you remember. And here we need user email and password. Okay, response post it is with the login. We don't need the name here, we need name and password. Here it will be auth response dot from session, here response dot data. Okay, same handle error, we need to get the handle error. Also you can do one thing, let's create the handle error function. Also we need to create the handle error function also. So string handle error, it is a due exception. Okay, isn't due exception. If e dot response is not equal to null, final data e dot response data. Okay, if data because we are getting, if there is any kind of error, we are getting that error in our message part, right? So data is map and data dot contain key message, then we are simply going to return data message part. Okay, else we are going to return server error and we are going to print the error. Okay, now return if there is any error, if there is no network, then we are going to give the network error e dot message. Okay, so we created the APIs for login and registration for now. Later on we are going to add the expenses also we need to create the APIs for the suggestion of the categories. Okay, so now go to our API services is done. Now we need to create the auth services file, okay, where we need to store the shared preference data. So for that, do one thing, create one class auth service where I need to give the, first of all we need one key, static const string, which will be the user key, and that will be suppose user data. Okay, now static, which we are going to save the user data, right? So that will be user and user, that will be a sync function, final preference equal to await dot shared preference dot get instance. Now await preference dot set string, key will be our user key and value will be JSON encode, user dot to JSON. Okay, because value will be in the JSON format. If you remember when we logged in, if you remember, our data is in JSON format. Okay, what is the error? Okay, sorry, data is in, user is already registered. Okay, sorry, login, it is in JSON format, right? So we need to store that in the JSON, so we need to encode that JSON and we need to store it in the string format. Now we need to save. Now we need to get the data, like, right? So static future, it is the user format, get user, and it is an async function, final shared preference dot get instance. Now final user string dot preference dot get string, that will be the user key. We need to pass the user key. Now if user string is not null, then try final user session. From the session we need to decode it, right? User string. Now then return it. User dot from session user session. Okay, catch. Simply we can do one thing, simply return null, or we can do one thing, we can print the error. Okay, error decoding the user data e. Okay, now if it is done, then okay, if it is done, then we can return null also if it is not null. Okay, so now in logout we can clear the data also, right? Feature void clear data, which will be a async function. Okay, we simply clear the data here, and also we need to check if user is logged in or not, right? So it will be a bool type, so is logged in, it will be a async function. So now final user equal to await get user, so we can get the user. Now return user not equal null. Okay, that's it. Here we are checking the user is logged in or not. Here we clear the data, here we get the user, and here we save the user. Okay, my auth service and API service is done. So far it is done. Okay, there is no work in the auth services, but there is some plenty of work in the API services, because here we only logged in and register user. We need to work on the add expenses and the get expenses and the category part also. Now for now I just do one thing, go to our main section. Here first of all I need to check the user is logged in or not, right? So here in our main will be async function. Okay, so here I just do one thing, I just first check user is logged in or not. Okay, final is logged in, I wait auth services dot is logged in. Okay, I checked here. Also we need to initialize, just do one thing, we need to we initialize our API services also here. If we initialize globally, then we don't need to worry about getting any kind of error in our classes or in our files. Okay, so here okay, so in our base URL we are going to use the IP address for our simulator, as I am using the simulator here. So the simulator will be 127.0.0.1200. 000 because this is my port, right? This is my port and this is for the IP address for the simulator. Okay, if you are using the emulator, then emulator I think it is 10.0.0.2 hyphen, that's one, the IP address for the emulator. Okay, if it is if I'm not wrong, this is the IP address for the emulator. You can just do one, you can check on the internet and you can get the you can get the IP address for the emulator also, right? So just one thing, visit Flutter binding dot ensure initialization. Okay, so here now in the run application it will be not const anymore. So here I just do one thing, is logged in, or one thing I will pass, that will be API service. These two things I will pass to our main app, and here in our main app we are going to initialize our is logged in, initialize our variable here also, final API service dot API service. Okay, here we are going to require this dot is logged in, also require this dot API service. Okay, so yeah, I added the is logged in, and I pass here we pass the parameter and here we get the parameter. Okay, now in our main app we are going to here now in our home page, okay, sorry, not our home page, in our main page we just do one thing here, it will be sent to AI expense. Okay, AI expense app. Now here we are going to do one thing, first of all debug false banner, we need to remove the banner. Okay, now theme data use material, anyway. Okay, now here we need to initialize our root, is logged in. If it is logged in, then it will go to the home, it will go to the home. If it is not logged in, then it will go to the login. Okay, now the roots will be, if it is login, then context login screen. Okay, also in login screen we need to pass the API services. Okay, sorry, now there will be home screen. Here also we need to pass the API services also, right? Now just do one thing, here create one directory as screens, here create one file that is login screen, import material, it will be stateful login screen. Okay, simply add the parameter, sorry, it is not, it is API services. Okay, sorry, this is my bad. So yeah, login is done. Now I need to do for the home screen, right? Home screen. Also here final API services, sorry, API services. Here one will be required this dot API services, right? Also I need one screen, registration screen, a register screen, that will also be okay. Anyway, so yeah, my main screen is done, almost done. I don't need this home page anymore. Okay, so yeah, now go to our login screen. There's an error. Now go to our login screen, and in the login screen we are going to design our file here. We are going to design our screen here. First of all, we are going to, as it is a from, so we are going to create one global key here. After that we are going to create one email controller. Text editing controller. One will be name control. Oh sorry, it is login, right? It is sorry, password controller. After that will be is logged in, is not logged in, loading. By default it is false. Final API service will be API services base URL. Now here base URL will be okay. Now we need to init state. In the init state we need to check user login, check login status. Okay, we are going to check the login status. So future it will be void check login status async if odd services dot is login, if login if mounted, then we are going to navigate navigator that push context will be sorry, not push, we are going to push replace it. Okay, push replacement context material based route, here context, and there will be home screen, API services. If it is already logged in, then we simply navigate user to the home screen. Okay, dispose, we are going to dispose email controller dot dispose, password controller dot dispose. Okay, now there will be one function to check the login. user to whenever user click on the login button, it will call this function. Okay, so first of all, if from key it is check user is enter all the data or not. Okay, in the from user is enter all the data or not. Okay, now here we are going to call that try class box. Okay, so now in try section we are going to get the response and wait API services not login user. We are going to give the email ID and password. Sorry, so it will be email controller dot text dot text dot trim, and next one will be password dot text dot trim. Now wait auth services dot save user data. If user is logged in, then we are going to simply save the user data in our shared preference. Okay, now if mounted, then we simply navigator dot sorry we are simply navigate the user to the registration page. Oh, not the registration page, to the login page if user is successfully logged in. Home page. Sorry, there will be post replacement. Okay, so yeah, it is correct now. Yeah, catch if mounted scaffold manager of context dot no snake bar. Here snake bar content will be text, and here e dot to string. Okay, now finally if mounted set stack is loading, it's gonna be false. Okay, so yeah, login user is done. Now we are going to design our screen. Okay, scaffold. So keep the design part. If you see here, this is the design part. I skip the design part. I simply created the two text from field and one elevated button and one text button which will navigate user to the register screen. Okay, so now if you run the application, you will see the sense. So if you see, this is the login screen. Here there is one email, password, and was login button, and one text button. Okay, so as you see, user is not logged in yet, so it is simply go to the login screen. It is not moving, it is not gone to the home screen. Okay, so before creating the login screen, just do one thing, create the register screen also, then you will move forward step by step. Okay, so this is our register screen. So here same as the login screen, we are going to take the this one. Okay, here API services, we are going to import it, and we need one name controller. Okay, so one dispose. Okay, so okay, register. Now here one is first one is name, email, password. Okay, if mountain, scaffold of snowbird takes message, because it in register we are only getting the message, right? So message, after getting the message, we simply navigator dot popped context. It will navigate user to the login screen again. Okay, now okay, so everything is fine. So here same as login screen, I just do one thing, I just copy the UI part also, and here paste it here. Okay, so that will be register sorry, copy paste name controller, text name, interior name, email, password, register is login, text register, enter password, true, validator, here validator is value, okay, let's do one thing here, value dot length is less than 6. If it is less than 6, then password must be at least 6 characters. Okay. Okay, so register button is done. Okay, now here already have an account then it is logged in, so login user or on press, just do one thing, navigator.pop context. Okay, so registration and login is done. Now in our home screen, just do one thing here, simply scaffold title. Okay, so here we are doing one thing here, simply user. Okay, now just do one thing, init state load user data. Load user data. Point load user data async. Create one instance. Okay, await auth services. Sorry, auth services dot get user. From the shared preference we are simply get the user data. Now in set text you are going to set the set the user data, and also here we are going to do one thing, we are going to create one boolean variable is loading equals to false. If it is loading equal to true. sorry, if data is load, then why it is true, it is going to be false. Okay, also do one thing here, we are going to create one logout function. In the logout button click, we are going to do one thing, we are going to clear the data. Okay, auth services dot clear data. Okay, we are going to clear the data, then we are going to navigator dot push replacement and name, put replacement and name, and we are going to use the name as login. Okay, so now here in the data part we are going to simply say welcome user dot name. Okay, let's check this, just rerun the application again. First of all, check the registration name, test.com 1 2 3 4 5 6 register. If you see user register successfully, let's check our database and simply run it. Okay, cancel. Simply run it. Application lost the database connection. Okay, if you see here, this is the horizon that we created right now, hurry.txt. Okay, now do one thing, hurrytest.com and password is, if you see, we logged in successfully. Welcome horizon. Okay, now if we do one thing, if we stop it and run it again, so based on our code, user should go to the home screen directly. Without going to the login screen, user should go to the home screen directly. Okay, yeah, user is navigate to the home screen directly. So our logged in and registration part is done successfully. Now we can do one thing, we can move to the real part, that is the expense part, because here it is AI expense application, right? So we need to get the expense, we need to implement our artificial intelligence part also, right? So for that we need to go our API services part. Now here we need to first of all we need to get the category suggestion, right? We need to get the category suggestion here. After that we need to add the expenses. After that we need to get the expenses, right? Now future, it is a future and it is a string, it is a string, but it's a list of string, right? It is a list of string. Now get category suggestions string description, because we are giving the description is in the parameter so that we can get the suggestion list, right? So try and catch. Okay, it will be on do exception catching. Print now here we need to give the response, we need to get the response, which is await get. Okay, now here first of all we need to give the endpoint, which is expenses, if I'm not wrong, expenses then suggest. Okay, just do one thing, go to over here, yeah, suggest, and here it is, sorry, here it is expenses. Okay, suggest. Now we need to pass the query parameter here, query is description. Okay, now return list of string from response.data, and we are getting it as suggestions, if I'm not wrong. Suggestions, yeah, suggestions. Inside the suggestion array we are getting the responses, right? otherwise we are getting the empty array if query is not available. Sorry, description is not based on the description is category is not available, then we are get the empty array. If it is available, then we are getting the list inside the suggestion array, right? Okay, so get suggestion is done. Now just do one thing. Now we are going to add the new expenses, right? So it is map string dynamic add expense add expense. Now we need to pass just the one thing. Because here as a parameter we need user ID, right? We need string description, right? Also we need string, it may be null, so category, and we need required int amount, right? If I am not wrong. So now here try on do exception cats e print error in add expense. Okay, now final response. Wait, sorry. If it is an async function, right? Wait, do dot post. It is a post method, right? So here API dot expenses, also in body section, so in data section, that means in the that means in the body section we need to pass the description. We need to pass the description. We need to pass the category. We need to pass the category. We need to pass the amount. And also we need to pass the user ID. As I already mentioned, we can give the user ID in the body section, also in the header section. Also in the header section we can pass the parameter, that is x user ID, right? If x user ID, that is user ID. Okay, we can also send the user ID in the header also. We can send in the body part also we can send it in the header also, right? Then we are going to simply return the response.data. Okay, add expense is done. Now we are going to create the get expense part. Okay, future, it is also a list string. Okay, it is not string, it is dynamic. Okay, get expense, we need user ID, async. Okay, try audio exception gets print error in fetch expenses. Okay, now here final response await do.get. Here same endpoint we are going to use, right? Also also you can pass the so we need to pass the header, right? X user id, right? We need to pass the user id, otherwise we are not getting the list. Return response data. Okay, so yeah, my get expense, add expense, get category suggestions, all these things are done perfectly. Now go to our home page. In the home page, as we already see our UI, we need to add two text from field. Inside the two text from field, after that we need one button, we need one text, and we need one list, right? So let's design it here. Okay, here we need a couple of things, like first of all we need text from field, right? Text editing controller, which will be the description controller. Text editing controller. Another one is the amount. Another one is the amount controller, and one thing is API services, right? I need API service, which is API. Just do one thing, from the login screen, just copy it and paste it here. Okay, now yeah, it is done. Now we need one list to store the suggestion, right? We need one list to store the suggestions, and also we need one selected category, because whenever we get the suggestions, we need to select one category, right? If user is not select the category, then AI will select that category. Okay, now there will be one timer. Timer is for data debounce. Okay, data debounce means whenever we are typing description in our the description controller, or in our description text from field, whenever user types something, it will not immediately generate the suggestions for us. Okay, it will take some time to generate the suggestion. Based on that, it will give us the category suggestion. Okay, so this is called the debouncing. This is the searching functionality. Okay, it will take some time and give us the result. Now this one is for the list. Okay, expenses list. Whenever user adds something, we need to get the data. For that, we need one list. Okay, Now here we just do one thing. Okay. So here basically what I did, if uh, I created all the loading thing or all the uh, fetching thing in one function. Okay, here if user is not null, then only we are fetching the data. If user is null, then we are not fetching the data. Okay. Okay, so yeah, that's it. Now fetch load data. Okay, fetch data. Now we are creating one function to fetch the data, right? Future void fetch expenses. Now here it is also a synchronous function. Now if user is equal to null, then you are simply return it. If not, then text is loading equals to true. Final result, we are storing the result here in a variable, and using the API services to get expenses. Here we are using the user, here using the user.id, here using the user.id, and then we store the data in the expense list. Okay, store the result in the expense list, and is loading is become false. So we change the state here. We simply fetch the data in this function. Okay, now now we need to create one function to save the expense also, right? Here we get the data, but we need one function to save expense also. If user equal to null, then we simply return it. Final description equal to description controller dot text dot trim. Okay, now final amount also we are getting from the text controller. If description is empty, and amount is empty, then we simply scaffold messenger. Here we snake bar in the content in the text section. We are giving please enter description and amount. Okay, null. Now here we are going to call the add expense API from our API services. Here we need to add the user ID, we need to add the description, we need to add the amount here. Okay, now user ID will be user.id, description will be description, amount will be amount, and here category will be selected category. Okay, what is going on? Tab is not an integer. Okay, here actually in add expenses I add the amount is int, but I need to convert it to double. Okay, now it is done. Now do what I did. Okay, add expense. Okay, add expense here, result. Okay, if result is not equal to null, Okay, here if result is not null, then we simply display one snake bar that expense is saved. Also we clear the description controller, we clear the text fields. Okay, we clear the list, we clear the selected category, and we simply fetch the expenses. Okay. Okay, this was is done. Also I need one function where whenever user type something, right, we need the debouncing functionality also, right? Whenever user types something, we need to change the text, and based on that text sense, below that text field we need to display the category list also, right? We need to display that category list also. So for that we just do one thing, we just create one function here outside logout. Okay, void on text sense we are using the string. Here we are passing the text. Okay, if debounce is active, if debounce is active, false. Sorry, if debounce is active, then false. Then debounce dot cancel. Debounce dot cancel. Okay, then debounce equal to set one timer where const duration milliseconds. Suppose milliseconds is 500, and there is one callback function which will be now if text is not empty, if this is not empty, then final result will be API dot get category suggestion. Here we are inserting the text. Okay, now we are changing the state. Okay, and suggestion will be the result. Okay, now else set stance suggestion will be the empty array, and selected category will be the empty. Okay, okay, now we need to design our screen because we did all these things. Now just do one thing. Okay, abbar body. First of all there will be padding. Okay, all 16. Child column children. Okay, just do one thing. Under API we simply call the text front field. Yeah, paste it. Okay, description controller, decoration, input label text is transition description. transaction description, border, outline border, border radius, border side, okay. After that we are going to give one height, suppose 8. After that we need to display the categories here. Okay, so spacing will be 8. Children, suggestions dot map category. Okay, so here dot to list. Okay, now here we need to final is okay. Here we are wrapping the categories. Whenever user enter the description, here below it is display the categories in the cheap way. Okay, cheap means in the container box. Okay, size box, height 8. Okay, now we are going to add the amount text from field. We don't need text from field, actually we need text field also. Text field is also good here. We don't need, as we are not validated anything here. Amount, transaction amount, number, after amount we are going to add one button, right? One elevated button. Okay, we designed a screen here. Okay, so let's run the applications again. Okay, as you see here we created the design. Now let's do one thing. Let's check whether it is Okay, just okay, it is connected well. Now run the okay, first API is also running here also, and backend is running here. Now just do one thing, just run the application again. Okay, so here just type Uber bill. Okay, whenever I type Uber bill, it is showing travel, utilities, health. So my suggestion API is working fine, as you see here. Okay, predict category, it is working fine, there is no problem in here. We select the travel amount, suppose 123 point, not 123, 12.23, save. Yeah, expense is safe travel, Uber will is safe travel. Now if I save here is grocery. Yes, whenever I try grocery, food, travel, utilities is selected, not selected, utility is showing here. Now if I didn't add it, if I didn't select the category, now let me check whether AI will take the food and drink as a category or not. If I create a save expense, it will take food and drink as the category and it is saving here. Okay, so yeah, my AI expense categorize is working fine with the login and registration. Okay, if you have any doubt during this all code, then just comment down below. And okay, and if you find it useful, then like the video, and if you are new here, just subscribe the video. Okay, and also share this video to all your developer friends who need help regarding this kind of things, because this is kind of a full stack application where I developed the backend part also using the Node and Express. Okay, also I use the first API to get the data from our AI part, and then we by locally we get that we send the data to our backend and we store it in our database, which is the Postgres, and we fetch the data from our database, and through API we get the data in our front end also, which is Flutter. Okay, so if you find it useful, like the video and subscribe to my channel. Okay, thank you so much.